Welcome to the Cinema Gold Show. I'm your host, as always, Larry Elise. Today we're diving into the box office and how its suffering in Hollywood has only itself to blame on a special episode of Let's Talk. But we'd like to thank our sponsor, Poddex, for sponsoring this episode. If you're looking to grow your audience or get more engagement, come check out Poddex today at poddex.com and use that promo code Larry21 for 10% off your order. Also, we'd like to remind you that we have merch available. Check it out today. The link is in the description. And consider buying a t-shirt and supporting the show. And now on to our main topic. The past couple of years have largely been about taking the good with the bad at the box office. Ever since movies like Tenet and The New Mutants tried and failed to get theaters back on their feet, it's been a bumpy ride with a very few big highs like Spider-Man No Way Home and pretty major lows like the past weekend's Invitation, which topped the charts with a mere 7 million. This, despite theaters being totally open and operational in North America. There is no good reason for things to be this bad right now, especially given that the industry is moving away from streaming of being the be-all, end-all answer. Despite having a straight-up robust summer led by blockbusters such as Top Gun Maverick, Jurassic World Dominion, Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, and more recently, Thor Love and Thunder, Hollywood mysteriously decided to pretty much forget about August and September entirely. That's not to say that movies aren't coming out over the next couple of months, but big movies? We're pretty much in no man's land until Black Adam arrives in October. Plain and simple, this isn't going to work. The studios are in some ways leaving theaters out in the cold at a time when they need help the most. Theaters spent nearly a year and a half on life support due to the pandemic, and recovering from that kind of financial hit takes time. 2021 was uneven at the box office, and yet this year has been much better. But one good summer doesn't make up for 18 months of rough waters. Hollywood needs to do a better job of supplying a steady stream of movies that can bring moviegoers out. Because frankly, it's no longer an issue of willingness. 2021 had some big breakout hits, but most of them were superhero movies like Shang-Chi, The Legend of the Ten Rings, Venom, Let There Be Carnage. Heck, No Way Home even made the vast majority of its money in 2022 since it came out in December of last year. Last year had few unexpected hits, while every single Warner Brothers movie went to HBO Max the same day it hit theaters. It was a step in the right direction, but far from a return to normal. Meanwhile, 2022 has seen hits not connected to franchises. The Lost City, The Black Phone, Everything Everywhere All at Once, and Elvis. But those movies weren't being counted on as the only games in town. At the same time, expected franchise hits like The Batman, Minions, The Rise of Gru, and Sonic the Hedgehog 2 were doing their thing along with the aforementioned hit blockbusters Maverick, which has led the way with more than $1.4 billion globally. But it hasn't been operating alone. Many of the other breakout hits that weren't franchise-based were kind of secondary to the steak and potato hits that were being supplied in theaters. Now, it's only side dishes, like Dragon Ball Super or Superhero. I think it's great that anime has found a foothold at the box office in North America, but movies like that alone can't carry theaters alone. Granted, it's not the fault of Sony that Bullet Train didn't break out as big as they hoped, nor is it Universal's fault that Beast wasn't a bigger hit. The relative disappointment of films like that, as well as DC's League of Super Pets, has only served to further highlight the issue. And gimmicks won't cut it. It's pretty clear that major studios are at least somewhat aware of the issue at hand, and they're doing some things about it. But what they are doing isn't going to be nearly enough to fix the problem at hand. For one, National Cinema Day was recently announced for September 3rd, and it will see $3 movie tickets widely available across the country for a wide variety of movies and in formats. That includes 4DX, IMAX, the other formats I can't think of, but that's only one day. We're looking at a 2-month period where theaters are going to struggle to fill auditoriums. It's a drop in the bucket when it comes to the larger picture, so perhaps they can make a National Cinema Day type event for maybe once a month. maybe on a day that's less attractive to moviegoers. Meanwhile, Sony is gearing up to re-release Spider-Man No Way Home with an extended, more fun stuff version that includes an extra 11 minutes of footage. Similarly, Disney is re-releasing Avatar in September to help prime audiences for the long-awaited sequel, Avatar: The Way of the Water, which arrives in December. Will those reissues bring out some moviegoers? Almost certainly, but again, this is going to be a limited solution to a larger problem. These are not movies that will draw in average moviegoers for several weeks. It will probably be a flash in the pan. Then we're back to a dead zone, populated with only smaller horror movies like Barbarian and Smile, or uncertain originals such as The Woman King and Don't Worry, Darling. With a lack of competition, it could mean something like The Woman King has a chance to become a breakout hit. But the fact that September box office almost entirely hinges on something like that happening, it's not great. It's bad, actually. When theaters shut down in March 2020 for months on end, the business was quick to double down on streaming efforts, viewing the Netflix model as the future. Yet this year has been quite unkind to Netflix, and as the box office has rebounded, the cracks have started to show in the streaming business model. Peacock is bleeding cash, HBO Max is in a total flux, as Warner Brothers Discovery shifts strategy under CEO David Z, and studios like Sony are sitting out the streaming wars entirely in favor of supplying content to everyone else. It's one big mess. Looking at the landscape as it exists, it's clear that streaming is only going to be a part of the equation moving forward. It can't be the entire equation. That being the case, studios absolutely need theaters just as bad as theaters need them. Heck, Regal's owner Cineworld is in the midst of bankruptcy. And AMC has crippling debt, having narrowly avoided bankruptcy during the dog days of the pandemic. The theater chains that studios rely on to turn movies like Top Gun Maverick or The Batman into hits are still desperately trying to climb out of a massive hole. This is a symbiotic relationship that only works if both sides are on the same page. Right now, Hollywood is treating things like there is looming uncertainty when every indicator we have tells us that people are absolutely happy to go to theaters right now. They just need a reason to do so. The powers that be simply can't afford to spread such a huge chunk of the calendar so thin. It's on the studios to do the right thing, or the consequences for theaters could be dire. Let us know your thoughts in the comment section below. What do you think about the current box office situation, especially in September or August? Let us know. And as always, if you want to support the show, you can buy us a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/cinemagold. Your support helps the channel grow, upgrade our equipment, bring in new hosts, pay them, create new shows, expand our content, and take this show on the road. As always, thank you so much for watching and listening. We will see you next time.